Goebbels was born into a strict Catholic, working-class family in Rade, Germany, in 1897. A master orator and propagandist, he is generally accounted responsible for presenting a favorable image of the Nazi regime to the German people. Following Hitler's suicide, Goebbels served as Chancellor of Germany for a single day before he and his wife, Magda Goebbels, had their 6 children poisoned and then took their own lives. After the Nazis seized power, Goebbels took control of the national propaganda machinery. A national ministry for public enlightenment and propaganda was created for him, and he became president of the newly formed Chamber of Culture. In this capacity he controlled, besides propaganda as such, the press, radio, theater, films, literature, music, and the fine arts. 1942 Hitler observed, Dr. Goebbels was gifted with the 2 things without which the situation in Berlin could not have been mastered, verbal facility and intellect. Hitler had good reason to praise his colleague, for it was Goebbels who had created the Führer myth, orchestrating a pseudo-religious worship of Hitler as the savior of Germany from Jews, profiteers, and Marxists. Goebbels played a very big role, but I would like to talk about another person who played a big role. He's even returned to life after a car accident. Do you know who was Hitler's teacher? No. Well then let's get started. Stalin and Hitler had one common teacher, George Gurdjieff. This man, a mystic, an occultist, is the least commonly spoken of when Hitler and Stalin are remembered. Meanwhile, at the time when the careers of Hitler, Stalin and many other political figures began, attention to esotericism was commonplace. George Gurdjieff, the exact year of his birth remains unknown, conjectures range from 1866 to 1877. Some authors, such as James Moore, argue for 1866. Both Olga de Hartmann, the woman Gurdjieff called the first friend of my inner life, and Louise Goepfert March, Gurdjieff's secretary in the early 1930s, believed that Gurdjieff was born in 1872. Gurdjieff spent his childhood in Kars, which, from 1878 to 1918, was the administrative capital of the Russian-ruled Transcaucasus province of Kars Oblast, a border region recently captured from the Ottoman Empire. Gurdjieff taught that most humans do not possess a unified consciousness and thus live their lives in a state of hypnotic, waking sleep, but that it is possible to awaken to a higher state of consciousness and achieve full human potential. The man who was the teacher of Hitler and Stalin. After 4 years traveling the world, he joined special factions where also Stalin and Hitler. He played a huge role in World War II. The fact that Gurdjieff's teaching contains a philosophy of nature is obvious, and the present study will attempt to support that affirmation. The hypothesis of a correspondence between man and nature is formulated without ambiguity by Gurdjieff. It is impossible to study a system of the universe without studying man. At the same time, it is impossible to study man without studying the universe. Man is an image of the world. He was created by the same laws which created the whole of the world. By knowing and understanding himself, he will know and understand the whole world, all the laws that create and govern the world. And at the same time, by studying the world and the laws that govern the world, he will learn and understand the laws which govern him. The study of the world and the study of man must therefore run parallel, the one helping the other. The main method of Gurdjieff in the matter of awakening disciples was this: you need to provoke a feeling of inner discomfort in the interlocutor, to achieve a distinctly unpleasant impression, to push reality and expectations. To step on the most sensitive calluses of everyone with whom I meet, so he formulated his credo. There is even a story that Gurdjieff taught hypnosis to Adolf Schicklgruber, the future Führer of the Third Reich, but these facts cannot be considered authentic. But in his works, the master treated politicians who were overwhelmed by a thirst for power in a very specific way. He called this kind of people the word Hasnamis, people without conscience, and considered them a dead-end branch of civilization, while teaching others how to use them, Hasnamis, for their own purposes. Stalin and Hitler were interested in his teachings. He was called a magician and a prophet. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff himself modestly called himself a teacher of Oriental dances. Well, who was he really?